The future rules. The future rules. The future rules. The future rules. You know why the future rules? Because that's where more Chainsaw Man is. Hyped up as it may be, Chainsaw Man's anime adaptation by Studio MAPPA threatens to be the freshest, hottest, vroom-vroominest show of 2022. And when I say threaten, I mean it in every possible sense. Everything about this manga is threatening. Most especially the eponymous Chainsaw Man, who is just as violent, vulgar, and insanely awesome as you would hope a character with that name to be. This dude will gorily slash his way through an army of zombies, ride a shark out of an explosion, set himself on fire mid-battle because it's a valid strategy, and those antics are just chainsawing the surface. It's also just one half of the total package, because the twisted superhero's alter ego, Denji, is equally as much as a dirty, sweaty, good bad boy. And I love both of these guys the same way that I love Tom Hardy's utterly goblinoid take on Eddie Brock and Venom from the Sony Venom movies. Move over, Morbius. Move over to the Criterion Collection and leave some room for the freaks to enjoy our top shelf, top lobster trash.
Have sex.
Chainsaw Man is the number 15 scariest creature you've ever seen, leaping out of a pile of trash, executing a perfect Olympic-level backflip, and demanding that you love it by the time you've already hastily written down the number 10 on a piece of soggy cardboard. I love Chainsaw Man. I love it so much. But just what is it that makes this manga so electric? What is the gasoline in the Chainsaw Man's tank? And what else does a chainsaw run on? Because I don't think I know. Do they take batteries? Will Chainsaw Man commit assault and battery if you happen to be an evil guy up to evil things? Probably, because he's Chainsaw Man!
I'm bringing it down! Down, down! Bring it all down!
The artwork of Chainsaw Man slaps as hard as it shreds, shreds as hard as it rocks, and rocks as hard as it sharts. It's another deliciously illustrated comic in a style that I affectionately refer to as freaky imagery. Some choice freaky imagery manga include Dorohedoro, Jujustu Kaisen, Kengan Ashura, Jigan, and Record of Ragnarok if you discount the anime. Attack on Titan is an honorable mention, and as is Berserk, though I haven't read the latter beyond the Golden Age arc, so I only know secondhand how freaky the imagery gets. Comparisons to other manga do feel necessary because of a superficially shared character design language. You know, the whole anime face thing. But when you get past the surface and into the disturbing creature designs, every one of the manga I've listed sets itself apart from the others, and Chainsaw Man is no exception. These astronauts will haunt your ass. The various devils and fiends of Chainsaw Man wouldn't be out of place in a Western work such as Hellboy or Hellraiser, and for this reason, I almost see Chainsaw Man as a gritty superhero comic before it's specifically a manga. It has a place outside of that typically isolated corner of the overall graphic novel market. That isn't to say that some of its sensibilities aren't, conspicuously otaku, but it has that comic book novelty and playful irreverence towards its subject matter, which serves to elevate its lovingly crafted characters to true icon status, especially in the indulgent rampage of the final chapters. Tatsuki Fujimoto knows how to handle pacing in a story. The manga will slow down and have a laugh or a quiet scene of dialogue if we need to spend more time with the characters, but when it comes time for violence, the scenes will explode into a pulse-pounding chaos where the outcome of the fight is anyone's game. The speed and flow of the action in Chainsaw Man feels much less like a shonen battle manga, where characters explain their powers at length before trying to outwit each other with increasingly galaxy-brain internal monologues, and way more like an action movie. Weapons and supernatural powers are deployed to great effect first, and exposition comes later, if at all. There are several fight scenes in Chainsaw Man that are worth rereading solely for the fact that the full context of the series makes them a brilliant exercise in writing realistic combat between competent magic users with absurd powers. Even with the element of total surprise, Chainsaw Man's action scenes are tense and easily readable from an art standpoint, even if the full implications of what the fuck is going on aren't readily apparent. It can get as vicious, terrifying, and disruptive as violence is in real life. And while the blood and gore can be orgastically satisfying, that's only because it totally denies you a chance to bust before it reaches the finish line. But enough about those battles in that manga. We all know which element of Chainsaw Man really gets those juices flowing. It's none other than the Gendo Ikari of waifus, Makima. Bark bark, I'm sorry, I can't fucking do this. Look, I know it's a huge meme that Makima is zipper-smashingly attractive, and she's got that ba, da bo, da bada, but can we all acknowledge that's a function of how she's written before it's a fandom thing? I mean, it's not like this is a Velma from Scooby-Doo situation, where the internet just arbitrarily decided to make the character a sex symbol. It is a major plot point of Chainsaw Man just how absolutely fuckable this woman is, and like, sure, I get it, but as a critic, I find it hard to overlook Makima's undeniable narrative utility for the sake of hopping on some bandwagon. Even if it's the wagon, she dragon. This is simply too complete a character for me to derive any cheap thrills from. She's too close to being a believably real person. She's had more character development in 97 chapters than I have in my entire life! Ah!
Take it easy, it's just a drawing.
Fucking spoiler-laden maiden aside, Chainsaw Man works best when it gets to be a character study. Primarily of Denji, since he's the protagonist, but the cast of lovable wackos surrounding him have fascinating psychologies all their own. Even literal gag characters have chances to prove their interiority, and the line between dramatic and silly is always in a state of flux. This is, after all, a manga about a chainsaw man, with chainsaw arms and a chainsaw head. It doesn't have to take itself seriously all the time, but when it does, it hones in on the motivations and complexities of its characters to great effect. You'll notice that I've gone this entire time without summarizing much of the plot, and that's because I know that a lot of people will want to experience this story for themselves when the anime drops. I would highly recommend those people check out the manga in the meantime, because if any of the elements I mentioned in this video sound like your thing, there's no reason to wait. Rip that cord and brandish your inner chainsaws for one of the manga reading experiences of all time. This is the kind of story you want to show everyone just so you can have conversations about it. Interspersed, of course, with manic bouts of "remember that part?" and screaming. This is the good shit. Need I say more? Read Chainsaw Man. Do it. Come on, do it. I know you can. I also know you can subscribe to the Dire Gentleman channel for more multimedia madness and make Mommy Makina proud by hitting that like button. We also like to extend our invitation to exclusive podcasts available on the Dire Gentleman Patreon, a one-tier, $1 a month service where me and my creative collaborators talk movies, television, and whatever the hell else for our own amusement. You can become part of that too, and take your place among your fellow diehards. But hey, don't be sus. If my name ain't Gus, and as always, we'll be seeing you in the near future.